Here's something that I want to bring up real quick. I owe you guys one of my totally true, not bullshit stories from my childhood. I realized I had never told you guys the bike rodeo story. When I was in elementary school, every year we had this thing called the bike rodeo. And it was basically where you brought your bike to school and you did these like a figure eight, weaving through cones, how fast you can make a lap around the lot that we ran in for PE class or whatever. And so what you did is you would earn points for all of these things. You would earn points if your bicycle had reflectors on the tires, a rear reflector, a horn or a bell of some sort, and then you would get points if you had a helmet, if you had knee pads, if you had shoulder pads. So if you came dressed like a fucking goofball, you'd get a lot of points. And so I remember always wanting to get one of the bike rodeo trophies. I don't know why. I just wanted one because it just seemed like I was like 7 or 8, right? And this is the most important thing to me at this moment in time in my life. What I would give to go back to that kind of innocence where my biggest concern in life is whether or not I can get a fucking trophy with a guy on a bike on it, okay? My other memory is watching a kid take off on the do the figure eight as fast as you can and immediately face plants. Because that was the thing. There was a big concrete slab, and they would have a figure eight track, and you would have to go through that and do the figure eight and not touch the lines, because if you touch the lines, you lose points. But you have to do it the fastest. Whoever does it the fastest gets the most points. Whoever makes a lap around the PE track gets the most points. If you weave through the cones and you hit the cones and you lose points, but if you do it it's all about bike stuff and doing it fast. And if you have a bell, there was one part where you have to go through like a special course, stop, ring the bell, like as if you were on a road, and like look both ways and then continue and then ring a bell, and then you would get points for doing all of these things. And what they did is they tallied up the points when all was said and done, and they did it by grade level. So there was like 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. I think this was when I was in 3rd grade. And so I was like, okay, I feel confident I'm going to get one of these bike rodeo trophies. Because I didn't have knee pads or shoulder pads, but I had a helmet, and that was worth 25 points on its own. So that's already big bucks. And so I had the helmet, and I had all the reflectors and crap on my bike, and the air in the tires, the chain was good, all the stuff that they inspect for safety. Perfect. And I didn't win the trophy, but somebody from my homeroom class did, and it's a kid. His name is Nicholas. And those of you who have listened to the album Echoes know that there's a track on there called Licky Nicky about a classmate called Nicholas. Same guy. We talked mad shit on this guy, and I feel kind of bad for it. I actually really do. But what we did is in class at some point when the teacher's done with their lessons and everyone's done their homework, everyone kind of splits off and does their own thing. So my friend Adam and I, whom I used to write comedy with, we would get into all sorts of trouble because we would tell raunchy jokes and be disruptive in class, and basically the in-school suspension room was like our second home when we were going to school, unintentionally. It was very cold in that room, so if it was like really hot, sometimes I'd just get sent there like on purpose from PE, because I'm like, fuck this, I'm done, and I'm like, I can't do jumping jacks or whatever, and the teacher would be like, Draco, go to the ISS room, and I'd be like, alright. So Nicholas got a trophy. He got a 3rd place trophy. He got a podium finish, but he got a 3rd place trophy. And he loved that damn thing because he kept it at his desk for a while. Like, we all had desks that we sat at, and he left his trophy on his desk. We didn't steal it. We didn't fuck with him like that. We didn't steal it and hide it, you know, fucking throw it behind the bookcase or anything like that. we didn't do anything like that to the guy. But one day when we all broke up into our friend groups, you know, some of the kids went in the back corner and played around on the computer, and some of the girls all went and sat together and did girl stuff, and, you know, some of the more sporty boys all got together and they broke off and did their own thing. And then, like I said, my friend Adam and I, we would sit there and like be thinking of jokes and stuff to write about, and we would do stupid things like see the word essay and be like, oh, it's actually French. It's pronounced essage, and it's what you say. It's like saying excuse me when you fart, so it's like essage. That was the level of humor we're dealing with here. So the way we're sitting, this is important, is that I'm sitting against the wall, and I'm facing the rest of the classroom. Adam is sitting opposite me, you know, cross-legged on the floor, and he's facing me. So he has his back turned to the entire rest of the classroom, and he can't see behind him. So he only sees me. And Nicholas is going around to all of the groups of people showing them his trophy. And they basically just hand wave him away and say, yeah, that's cool, whatever. And he would come by where Adam and I were sitting, and we'd just be like, yeah, whatever, dude, fuck off. And he just kept doing that. But Adam was getting progressively more irritated with Nicholas because he just was not in the mood to deal with his bullshit today. So as Nicholas is coming around, this must be like the third or fourth pass. He would just be making laps around because he didn't have a friend group to go with because nobody wanted to hang out with the fucking weirdo. Like the kid was he dressed like I said in the Echoes album video. I said he dressed like a gay cowboy, and that's how he dressed when he went to school. Nobody wanted to hang out with him. He was a weirdo. Like I said, that's why I feel bad now that I'm an adult. But he was making these rounds around the classroom, and finally, he's coming back around to us. And Adam knows he's coming because I'm looking up and I'm not looking at him. I'm looking behind him, and I see Nicholas coming, and I'm kind of like looking away and up because he's standing and we're both sitting on the ground. Adam knows he's there. He's walking on a carpeted floor too, so it's not like he can hear footsteps or whatever. Adam's there, and like right as Nicholas is walking up, he bangs his hands on the carpet and just goes, "What are you, stupid?" Nicholas, with his big old grin and his trophy, he literally just kept walking. And of course that outburst caught the attention of the teacher, who got angry with Adam for shouting, but then told Nicholas to come sit at the desk beside the teacher's table, so that, you know, he would just sit there and be quiet by himself. And that's where he sat until it was time to go home or whatever. But just the unbridled, like, I feel like for a moment Adam just became unchained because he was so fed up with fucking Nicholas and his goddamn trophy that he just said, "What are you, stupid?" And just guttural like that. You could tell it came from the heart. "What are you, stupid?" He didn't curse. He didn't say, "What are you, fucking stupid?" He didn't say. It wasn't dirty. He didn't say anything mean. He just said, "Are you stupid?" And Nicholas, without missing a beat, Nicholas just kept walking to the next group of people. which is what made it so funny. Nicholas did not react. He wasn't scared. He wasn't spooked. He wasn't offended. He just kept walking to the next group of people in the classroom. And that's what gets me. It's one of those you had to be there moments, I guess. But it's one of my favorite memories of like my childhood and writing and doing comedy stuff with my buddy Adam, because we would get into like situations like that, and just him just shouting that at Nick. We had these stories that we used to write about Nicholas and his trophy. About these were ones that really got us in trouble on the tape. They didn't make it onto Echoes because I feel like it would have been in extremely poor taste, and I'm saying that having put a track on the album where we talk about Nick sucked 6 dicks and got sick as a Dr. Seuss reference, and we're like single-digit age and saying stuff like that. But there were tracks on one of the cassettes, one of our first cassettes, called Letters to Nick. And it was these little stories that we had written, these little anecdotes about taking the bike rodeo trophy and like shoving it up his ass and beating him up. That's why he kept it. He kept that trophy at his desk until that outburst. Then he brought it home with him. And he didn't have it. And whenever we broke off into friend groups or whatever, he would just usually sit by himself. And when you're like 8, you don't really care to think about stuff like that. So there's that. Anyways, talking about those old cassette tapes. Talking about those old cassette tapes, I have one of the old masters right here, actually. This is one of the actual master cassette tapes that we used to pass around back in the day. And the magnetic strip is clearly stressed, so I got these recorded. I got these digitized before they further deteriorated. But I still have the masters. I hang on to them. I keep them right here. But anyways, that's my totally true, not bullshit story about the bike rodeo trophy. I'm trying to think. I'm so far behind on the editing queue that I don't know what stories I've told that are in the queue that I haven't edited yet, because I don't want to tell you guys the same stories twice. But I'll think of some other stuff that I can tell.